I warmly welcome you to the third English debate of the year in the intermediate division. The topic for today is a compulsory device-free day should be introduced by every country. Our judges for today are Mr. James, Mrs. Crispin, Mrs. Mukherjee and Dr. Das. The order in which the four houses will be speaking today is Pal, Allen, Condon and Foy. May I remind the speakers that they will be given 4 minutes to express their views. After 3 minutes, a bell shall be rung, and after the 4th minute, the second bell shall be rung. After a speaker has concluded his or her debate, members of the other teams are permitted to ask 2 questions. If they do not do so within 30 seconds, the speaker will be awarded full marks for rebuttal. So I do urge as many participants to ask questions. Without further ado, I shall now call upon the first speaker for today, Naomi Sherika Singh of Pal House.
Good afternoon to the House at large. The topic prevailing in the House today is a compulsory device-free day should be introduced by every country, and I would like to express my views in favor of the topic. In today's internet-driven world, we are all extremely dependent on our devices. Even though technology has a vast role in our lives, we often tend to neglect its negative impacts and get consumed by it. If for one day, the entire country and the world switches off their devices, it would give us time to collaborate, share what our thoughts. First, I would like to dwell upon the potential harmful effects of excessive screen time and technology, that are technology addiction, social isolation, impulsivity, shyness, low self-esteem, and disrupted sleep. There are 3.8 billion smartphone users in the world, out of which 6.3%, which is 252 million people, suffer from an acute psychological affliction termed nomophobia, or the fear of living without a phone. Isn't that scary? In 2017, a study published in the Journal of Child Development indicated that teenagers with sleep problems caused by smartphones are more likely to experience depression and anxiety. Melatonin, a hormone that helps to regulate our natural sleep cycle, is suppressed by the blue light emitted from our phones. Secondly, a compulsory device-free day can give us more time for ourselves, away from the endless notifications, updates and messages of our devices. It is a simple self-care practice, yet so difficult for a lot of people to implement because of their busy and hectic everyday lives. Taking time away from our devices can help us in acknowledging the little things in our lives and our environment, like looking at the stars, experiencing a sunset, or appreciating rain, which is extremely rare these days. It can make us more empathetic, not only to our own struggles, but to others as well. Now, my opponents may argue, how can a single device-free day help with things I mentioned earlier, like stress levels, mindfulness, or spending more time with yourself? Well, even a single device-free day can help to motivate and inspire us to practice it more often, like taking a day off from our devices once every week, every month, or just decreasing our screen time in general. It is time that our racing thoughts and unsettled minds calm down. Constantly staring at a screen and being overloaded with information can be extremely draining on the mind and the body. Even a single device-free day can be a start to remind people that there is so much more to the world than their digital lives. A start to make people think instead of depending on technology for every small thing. A start to make people reset, rethink, and reconnect. Thank you.
Questions for House.
Madam Speaker, in your debate you were very vocal about how a compulsory device-free day is necessary. But if there is an emergency or someone is in danger, then how do you expect them to contact someone or call the helpline number without their devices?
Thank you for the question. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. I think that if a government of a country is implementing a compulsory device-free day, they would surely be thoughtful enough to keep provisions like emergency landlines to places like the fire station, the hospital or the police station available. Thank you.
Condon House.
You mentioned in your debate that blue screen rays hinder the melatonin in our body. So don't you think we can have a certain restriction applied to the devices to just stop them after a certain stage?
Thank you for the question. As I mentioned in my debate, I think we need one day to experience, one compulsory device-free day to experience what it's like, so it can inspire us, and so we can practice it more often. Like we can do it once every week or every month. And thank you.
Thank you, Sharika. I now call upon Krishang Narayan of Pal House speaking against the motion.
A day without electronic devices. Now, that would be extremely pointless because everything revolves around them. In fact, it has become one of the prime necessities of a human's life. Devices include smartphones, laptops, radios, televisions, and many more. Just imagine living a day without these devices. What kind of a day it would be? I would say chaotic. Good morning to the respected judges, my worthy opponents, Madam Chairperson, and the House at large. Today, I, Krishang Narayan, stand here stating my views strongly against the motion. In today's generation, every individual is dependent on their devices, all the way from making bank transactions and paying different types of bills to ordering food or even just checking the weather. Everything is done through devices. Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize how much loss the world's economy will face if devices are stopped for even a day? Stopping the use of devices means putting a halt to all vital concerns and facilities like imports, exports, travel agencies, hospitals, police stations, banks, and many more. People will not get the required facilities in the hospitals during emergencies and may even die. Reading of the stock markets by investors and even NASA's daily observations and operations of space are done through devices. Knowledge and awareness are two of the principal qualities in life. Without the use of devices, the spread of news will stop and the world will literally stop working for that day. Have you wondered if there was a terrorist attack? How would the government inform the concerned departments and the armies about the attack? It would eventually lead to more deaths and destruction. The main reason why I chose to stand against the topic because devices play a huge role in communication. Suppose you witness a severe accident and the injured person needs immediate professional aid. How would you call the ambulance without a device? What if your sister or any other person in the world were being followed by a group of men? How would you call the police? What if there were to be a robbery at your place? What if a tire bursted while you were driving? What if it's a loved one's birthday or anniversary and they live somewhere far off? Wouldn't you want to wish them or talk to them? However, without the ability of a phone, you wouldn't be able to do so. I understand that today's topic suggests to stop using devices for only a day. But misfortunes never happen with a warning. Anything can happen in a day. Forget about a day. Anything can happen in a second. Time is a very precious element of our life. Anyway, what good will one day in 365 days do to us? We are changing the world with devices. The devices of this generation have all the features that a person would need in their life, like calendars, clocks, socializing apps, search engines, calling features, and many more. When a small device can replace such massive and handy things, why would a person need to stop using the devices? Everything has a limit. Only because some people think that they should stop using their devices does not mean that the entire world should stop using these necessities. One should stop using them, not by compulsion, but voluntarily, out of self-realization. The only benefit a no device day would do to us is a fabulous holiday. In the end, I would like to end my debate with a quote by Susan Orlean. Quote, "A day without a phone feels like a day we lived a decade before." Unquote. Thank you.
Questions? Alan House.
Don't you think that devices are a barrier between what's real and what's pretentious, because there are so much news on electronic devices?
Thank you for the question. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer the question. It really depends on the person who is using the devices. If he is seeing the news, it should be from a legit site, not from a fake site. Thank you.
Foremost.
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that without devices, we won't be able to contact the ambulance. But don't you think that for such an emergency, the government will allow devices to be used in order to call the ambulance?
Thank you for the question. With the permission of the chairperson, I'd like to answer the question. Today's topic is that there should be a compulsory no device day in every country. It doesn't specify that the government will make an exception or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishan. I now call upon Aryan Sahu of Allen House speaking in favor of the motion.
Imagine a world without devices. That might be difficult, especially considering that half of the millennials said that they couldn't live without it in a 2015 Pew Research study. Good afternoon to the House at large. As I stand here today, I cannot stop wondering how the internet and these new age devices have captured our life. They have completely reversed the idea of the balance between work and time. The notion of cultivating awareness of one's work versus one's pleasure first emerged when the word leisure caught up in Europe in the industrial era. Today, when so much work and leisure time involve staring at screens, I see a different struggle arising. A struggle to find a healthy balance between technology and the physical world. Albert Einstein said, and I quote, "I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots." Research shows that about 61% of people admit that they are addicted to their devices and digital screens. There was a time when people used to sit and talk with their parents and grandparents to spend some decent quality time with them. But now, all we want is our devices 24/7. All of us need a break from these devices. We need at least one day that we spend without these devices, discovering ourselves and the people around us. If we spend a day without all these devices, we will get to detox ourselves from these devices, which would greatly improve our mental and physical health. Don't you think that if we spend a day without all these devices, we will get to know nature better and feel more connected with nature? Social media connects us with others in many beneficial ways, David says. But at the same time, it can have an unhealthy effect on people. Spending time alone without our devices would make us calmer and would improve our concentration. Throughout the day, we are constantly flicking between our digital screens, whether it's smartphones, TVs, laptops, tablets. The blue light of technology never seems to be switched off. In a New York Times article, Steve Jobs was asked if his kids loved the iPad when the company's first iPad was just hitting the shelves. He replied saying that they haven't used it. We limit how much technology our kids use at home. If he, the pioneer of the personal computer era and the founder of Apple, knew the disadvantages and negative impacts of excess screen time, what else do we need to have at least one device-free day in the country? Creating awareness is the first step towards bringing about any change in the world, and this is exactly what this day will do. It will educate the masses about the negative impact of these devices. If we want to see a positive change in the world, this is the first step towards it. And it is a major step towards freeing humankind from the world of internet. Disconnecting or unplugging from all digital static offers us an opportunity to reset and refresh our mind. All I am saying is that just one day from the whole calendar can prove to be beneficial for the whole world. It will help us reconnect with older times and reflect on what all is going on in our lives. Thank you.
Questions for our house?
Mr. Speaker, how can you say that people need their devices 24/7? Because some people can control the urge of using their devices very well. So why do we need one day?
Thank you for your question. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer the question. So, majority of the people are actually so dependent on their devices these days that they can't even spend an hour without their devices. You would see many people, even when they're sitting alone, they're distracted from their smartphones and they are not stopped from looking at their electronic devices. So basically these devices have captured our lives and we cannot live without them. The majority people, they have been manipulated in such a way by these devices that they don't know how to live without these devices. And this day will give an opportunity to reset their minds and think about it and how to use their devices in a limited manner and only when they need it urgently.
Powerhouse.
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned in your debate that we need to spend time with our family. But what about the people who use their devices to contact their family itself?
See, now what all is happening that we can simply contact our families through the help of electronic devices. But what about the quality time that you used to sit when you used to talk and sit with them, when you were talking to them face to face? Could these electronic devices bring back those moments? They can't. So that is why we need to disconnect ourselves. And we are busy with our hectic life these days so much that we can't get out of these electronic devices. So this day will give us an opportunity to reconnect with our families and spend quality time with them face to face. Thank you.
Thank you, Aryan. I request members of the audience to please sit up and wake anyone around you who may be sleeping. Class 10s at the back. I now call upon Soumya Gupta of Allen House speaking against the motion.
The most reliable appliance has simplicity and quality. Does what is demanded of it, is economical to use, easy to maintain, and just as easy to repair. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what is known as a device. A very good afternoon to all. Today, the topic for the debate is that a compulsory device-free day should be introduced in every country. And I strongly disagree with this statement. And this is why. In this fast-moving world, devices play a very essential role. Technology today has revolutionized our times in all possible ways, be it the global plague of mobile phones or our fingers stuck on computers, iPads or tabs. Modern devices are such an integral part of our everyday life today that we cannot really imagine a world without them. Now the question that arises here is that how will life look like if we were to take the devices out of it? Certainly vacant. I say this because we all depend on devices, from our morning alarm clocks to our night lamps. No field is operating only with humans, as overall man is dependent on these devices. A day without devices would appear as if civilization has reverted back to days of ancient times. As a pursuit for the better quality of life, some dependency on devices is unavoidable. Because we would all like to have clear running water, provision of power, and different electronic tools for our businesses. Wouldn't we? It is due to devices and technology that the human race is surviving the unprecedented population expansion. And without it, the human race would have died out long ago in global hunger Armageddon. Now, if a country was to go device-free for a day, it would prove to be catastrophic. The country would be in a vulnerable situation and the security of the country would be threatened. The radars will shut down and people will not be able to communicate with others at their borders or anywhere where there are underlying threats. And even that one device-free day could turn into doomsday. Most importantly, people's lives will be in danger because there would be no medical equipment available. Even in an emergency, people would not be able to contact an ambulance. And without no devices or equipment needed to treat patients, there would be a lot of casualties. Ladies and gentlemen, going device-free would also have a very severe and negative impact on a country's economy. Now, all of you must be wondering what harm could be caused to a country's economy in just one day? The answer: the stock and share markets would crash because there would be no information regarding the financial stability of any business. And this will directly lead to a state of revenue deficit. Some of my opponents here might even say that devices cause us to procrastinate and waste our time. Ladies and gentlemen, the quotation, "a stitch in time saves 9, means that if you do things in time, you will be able to do 10 more things in the time you saved. Keeping this in view, scientists and technologists have developed devices to save our time and make our lives easier. In conclusion, I would like to quote Stein Lomberg from the University of Copenhagen. It's not like we would be more likely to communicate with the strangers at bus stop if we didn't have our devices. Not at all. The lack of social connection may make people more social in specific situations, like forcing people to speak to co-workers rather than sending emails, but overall, the experience is most likely to be distressing. And for most people, I think even one day without devices would be terrifying. Thank you.
Condon House.
Madam Speaker, don't you think that we have gotten addicted to devices to such an extent that it is hindering our family time? Please comment.
Thank you for your question. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer. I disagree with your statement because I think devices actually help us to reconnect with our family members. In this day and age, we actually live so far away from our family members, whether they're in different countries or cities, and devices are actually helping us to connect with them, whether it be Skype calls or FaceTime or generally talking on a call. And with such a hectic life schedule these days, people actually are not able to make time to sit with their family members and talk. So devices really help them in that way. Thank you.
Paul House.
Madam Speaker, how can you say that devices free day could help us in introspect and connect and would help us understand to not take these devices for granted and to use them wisely? Then why shouldn't we have devices free days?
Please, can you repeat your question?
Madam Speaker, people would not be familiar with the idea of a device free day, which could lead them to mayhem. Please comment.
Madam Speaker, device-free days could help us introspect and connect and would help us understand not to take these devices for granted and use them wisely. Then why shouldn't we have device-free days?
Thank you for your question. I think we should not have a device-free day because when we use devices, we get habitual with them. I will give you an example. For a programmer, when he does coding regularly, he gets more familiar every day he does that. So same applies for devices. The more you use them, the more you understand the way you have to use them. So going device free for a day, I don't think that will prove to be beneficial for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. I now call upon Samira Goel of Condon House speaking in favor of the motion.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, respected judges, worthy opponents, and to the House at large. Today I, Samira Goel of Condon House, would like to present my views in favor of the motion. A compulsory device-free day should be introduced by every country. A device has become a person's best friend during these days, but relying too much on something is never good. One might say anything in excess is bad for you. Hence, I firmly believe that devices should not be banned completely, but their use should be controlled by the introduction of compulsory device-free days. One Harvard study states that the use of a device every single day can cause permanent damage to your mental health and increased levels of anxiety and depression along with poor sleep quality. Although one might argue that devices are abundant in knowledge, at the same time they are one of the major causes of distraction. The use of a device without breaks or device-free days may cause diversion from simple and important tasks and lead to wasteful management of time. Now, my fellow opponents might argue that devices are the focal point of many industries, such as the medical industry. So does quitting our devices, even for a single day, make this work unmanageable? Well, I do not think so, because devices were not even invented a long time ago. Yet medical care was provided for the people in our society. And I personally believe that quitting our devices for a single day will give a new perspective to the people who are trying to solve any sort of problem. So no, the world would not stop functioning without devices for a singular day. If anything, it would prove to be more functional. Device-free days allow a person to experience life around them without internet and a bright light shining continually in their eyes. Going device-free gives any person the chance to do simple problem-solving skills without relying on a materialistic item and the opportunity to have proper conversations with the people around them than communicating through a screen. Connecting with a person in real life increases your connection and ability to connect with them on a personal level to a higher rate than to connect with them with your head buried deep in a device. Device-free days will help with creating healthy habits for every individual, and a simple day as such will be extremely beneficial as it will create a healthy mentality for the future generations who will be able to achieve success without relying on a device and who will have better coping and communicating mechanisms. I believe that a device is a good guide for a person, but nothing lasts forever. And hence, one should not be so relied on to something to a point where quitting it, even for a few hours, seems like an unfeasible task. In conclusion, I firmly believe that a device is not vital to a person's existence. Therefore, efforts should be made to avoid it for as long as possible. Thank you.
Questions? Pal House.
Madam Speaker, you said that medical industries used to run when devices were not invented. But nowadays, the hospitals are managed with the help of devices. Hospitals use devices such as ECG machines and patient monitors and different types of devices during emergencies. And I don't think so it is okay for hospitals to shut down for an entire day. Please comment.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer. So, as I mentioned in my debate, quitting our devices for a single day will give a new perspective to the people who are trying to solve any sort of problem. And hospitals did function without devices, and we have a very developed thinking right now. So with the kind of thinking that we have, I think we can make hospitals work even during this device-free day, so they do not need to shut down. And I just think that this day will be extremely beneficial for our society, as it will give new ideas and new ways of solving problems to every single individual. Thank you.
Allen House.
Madam Speaker, don't you think that having a device-free day would be a security threat to the country, as the security systems would be down?
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer. No, I do not think that device-free days will be a threat to our countries, as this day would be implemented all over the world and everybody would be facing a similar situation. So I don't think anybody will be attacking without a device in the first place. That defense will be required. And even if it will, I am sure that our military and defense systems can function without devices for a singular day. Thank you.
Thank you, Samara. Gurigat Singh Khurana of Condon House going against the motion.
Right in front of me, I can see a device, and I feel like waving to it. Good afternoon, Mr. Camera. Good afternoon to the House at large. The topic of the House is extremely relevant in today's day and age. A compulsory device-free day should be introduced by every country, and I'm here to speak against the motion. We are surrounded by devices. The cameras recording this debate, the microphones, the loudspeakers, and the equipment in the control room is helping us to put across our perspectives to everyone sitting here. These are just a few examples of the vast technology that is present in our school itself. iPads and Chromebooks are being used by all of us for studies. Our teachers use smartboards to teach us important topics in our different subjects. All of these devices are being given to us to increase our productivity and keep us up to date with the modern world. After all, in just a matter of a few years, we shall step into the outside world, which is moving much faster than we can think. Devices are propelling that fast growth. Our economy tells us a lot of things. Imagine for a day, all devices are off. Hence, all offices, all banks, all places of work shall feel handicapped. For that one day, the world shall feel paralyzed. The economic loss for that one day shall be substantial. I don't think it will be worth the effort. We can't imagine our world without these devices. Hospitals, can they be shut down for a day? Mobile phones, our basic mode of communication in case of any emergencies. Satellites, they define the security of countries. Recently, satellites have been used extensively in the Russia-Ukraine war. Satellites are being used by India to guard our borders and make us feel safe. Can these devices be shut down for even a day? I don't think so. Hypothetically, let's assume we are designating the compulsory device-free day. How do we implement it? There are trillions of devices across billions of people around the globe. There might be trillions of devices in India itself. How is it possible to reach out to everybody, to monitor everybody, to educate everybody? This would require a humongous effort at the micro levels of the society. This much of time and effort can be used otherwise, in teaching the people about the rights and the wrongs of the devices around them. This shall create a much better output round the year than just one day in a year. Friends, which is the largest company in the world today? Apple it is. It has a market capitalization of $2.65 trillion. Out of the top 6 companies in the world, 5 are based on devices and technology, namely Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, and Alphabet. All of these companies are known for the devices they can power and the devices they give us to make life simpler. All of us use Apple products at school. There is reportedly an Apple event coming up on the 7th of September. The world looks up to it. I'm sure there are a lot of Apple lovers sitting amongst us. That could include our respected principal and a few of our teachers. If our teachers are following the latest devices, they have to be good for us. Why should we abstain from it for even a day? Technology is big. Technology is for our betterment. Technology is here to stay. And we need devices to put that technology to use every single day. Thank you.
Questions? For House.
Mr. Speaker, statistics show that people have reduced their family time because of devices. So don't you think that if they'll spend time with their family for this one day, they'll understand the importance of spending time with their family because it gives them real happiness?
Thank you for the question. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer the question. The devices that we are using every day in our lives, all of those devices serve a purpose. Now, you say that using these devices are hindering our family time. However, don't you think that we can use those devices with our family for our leisure time or for our enjoyment? We are sitting in a hall, we are sitting in our bedroom, we can use the TV, we can use the mobile phones for enjoyment, entertainment and our productivity too. Thank you.
Allen House.
A digital detox refers to taking some time away from devices for our benefit. Don't you think that we should have a digital detox and face the real world?
Thank you for the question. No, I do not think that we should have a digital detox. See, whenever we are using these devices, some or the other way, we are increasing our mindset's capability. We are trying to make sure that we see something that is either good for us or something that can make us feel happy. The digital detox would rather mean to stop everything like that and start focusing on the things which we do not like. That would not be beneficial for us as we won't be enjoying that time, and that would lead to our mental stress increasing. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurinder. I now invite Prananjay Chaudhary of Foy House speaking for the motion.
Everything will work again if you unplug it for a few moments. Even you. Good afternoon, members of the jury, honorable judges, Madam Chairperson, and my worthy opponents. Bear with me, dear friends, as I give you the definition of device yet again. But I promise you that there is a method to my madness. A device is a piece of mechanical or electronic equipment. Therefore, we are looking at a lot more than just computer devices and other mobile phones. Having got that out of the way, I would like to focus on why unplugging has to be made compulsory. You will agree that today's world is a device-run world. Factories, offices, schools, everything. Bosses and factory owners would not want it. Therefore, if it were made compulsory, these establishments would make other arrangements for this day of unplugging. I cannot understand why my friends think that this day will be a holiday and an entirely unproductive day. It could be a day of getting to know your employees better, or simply doing work that does not require devices at all. For example, cleaning the office, a day of fruitful interaction, etc. Why should rules only be imposed on children? Shouldn't adults set an example? It is a common practice for parents nowadays to ration out device use, be it to encourage studying, get some fresh air, or simply for family time. According to Albert Camus, idleness is fatal only to the mediocre. This may sound extreme to most people, but I think that this literary genius was definitely onto something. People today suffer from tech or device disorder. This disorder is caused due to excessive use of devices. While undoubtedly technology has turned out to be the greatest innovation by mankind, it causes weight gain, insomnia, disruption in normal patterns of mood, and an excess of networking addictions. These cause higher risk of suicide and depression. A day without technology can help you develop a better relationship with it. According to Rachel Carson, those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength. Walking to work, writing instead of typing, not watching television for a day, or simply taking a walk midst of nature will help you develop a better relationship with it. 1 year has approximately 52 weeks and you get 52 days of allowing yourself the time to reconnect with nature. Countries could encourage workplaces to initiate cleanliness drives. It would be like the reading lesson at Wynberg-Allen, which has helped you rediscover your interest in books. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, in a speech urged world leaders to come together and offer an urgent and coordinated response to global problems, because global solidarity is not only a moral imperative, it is in everyone's interest. If given an opportunity, I would like to propose such a day to the leaders of the world, assuring them, in the words of Roald Dahl, that once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy that fills their hearts, and later each and every kid will love you more for what you do.
Question? Pal House.
Mr. Speaker, how would the government make the people follow the No Device Day, as there is already a national day of unplugging on the first Friday of March and no one follows it?
Thank you for your question. With the permission of the chairperson, I would like to answer. As you have said, there is already a day present for unplugging, but it's not a totally device-free day in sense, because it is not compulsory and people do not follow it. And if we make device-free day compulsory, the people will be more socially aware and follow it. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, if on this device-free day, a natural disaster like an earthquake or a volcanic eruption was to occur, how does one spread the news and deal with the mass communication?
Thank you for your question. With the permission of chair, I would like to answer. As you have said, if there is a natural calamity or another mishappening, and it would be definitely be considered an emergency. So, since this is simply a should-be situation, necessary and crucial services would definitely continue, because this that you have said, earthquakes and floods, it will help the people to get out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Audience members, please sit up. Wake up, everyone. Wake everyone around you. I now Samriddhi Singh of Foy House speaking against the motion.
Quote, ultimately, the only power to which man should aspire is that which he exercises over himself. Unquote, Elie Wiesel. Good afternoon to the House at large. At the outset, I would request the House to focus on the keywords in the topic, which are compulsory and device. Now, compulsory means that which must be done by law or rules, and device means a tool or equipment made for a particular purpose. Simply put, forcing individuals to give up their devices for a day. Plato said that knowledge acquired under compulsion obtains no hold over the mind, and therefore leads to more harm than good. I would like to start my first constructive argument by talking about the kind of impact this would have on the lives of patients suffering from various diseases all around the globe. The introduction of a device-free day could impact their lives in a very negative manner. If the government puts a ban on devices such as defibrillators, anesthesia machines, patient monitors, EKG or ECG machines, even for 1 day, then a lot of people could lose their lives. Why on earth would we want that? Just because a certain group of people think that not using their devices like phones and computers is going to do our planet a world of good? Which brings me to my second constructive argument, where I shall talk about how I feel that a device-free day is totally unnecessary and useless. My worthy opponents think that not using their devices for a day is going to solve all environmental issues, but that's just them being delusional. We might go around for a single day not using our devices, but we will still litter and we will still waste water and electricity. So how is not scrolling through Instagram for a day going to help save the planet? I am sure everyone will agree with me that awareness takes time, and problems as big as global warming and climate change won't be solved in a single day. As my third constructive argument, I would like to shed light upon the more frequently used devices by us, like phones and iPads. Let us take our school as an example. Without our Chromebooks and iPads, even for one day, we feel completely useless. That's because we need our devices to do research work for our projects and study. I am sure all the girls have experienced this, that when we have to stay back in Allen in the evening for various activities and reach back to Wynberg late, we don't even get time to call our parents. But thanks to our devices, we can at least mail them. I could ask for a show of hands to strengthen my stance, but I won't, as I strongly believe that you and I both know that compulsory unplugging will not help if we just end up wasting time in pursuits that will harm us and the environment anyway. What if people spend this one day just sleeping or cleaning their houses of clutter and throwing it all outside, or gambling, drinking, or simply gossiping? I would like to use the very wise words of Margaret J. Wheatley to conclude my debate. Without reflection, we go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences and failing to achieve anything useful. Think about it. Thank you.
Questions? Condon House.
Madam Speaker, don't you think that this device-free day can be considered as a start to change our negative engrossment to a positive direction?
Thank you for the question, Madam Interjector. With the permission of the chairperson, no, I do not think so. Because I do not believe that one day is going to make an impact on the lives of people who are so relentlessly dependent on their devices. After this one day, they will just go back to the old ways of using their devices excessively. They do not understand the importance. I believe it is more about self-awareness. If a person knows when and where to use their devices and how to use them, they do not need a compulsory device-free day. They can do it on their own. Thank you.
Allen House.
Don't you think that devices have messed up a balance of a healthy life because we are always glued to them, and this day will give us the opportunity to balance it out?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Interjector. With the permission of the chair, I would like to answer. Mr. Speaker, after this one day, what will happen? After this one day, people will go back to their normal lives and they will go back to using their devices excessively. They do not understand how it is impacting their lives in a very negative manner. They will keep on using it because they have become so dependent on it. Because in the 21st century, our devices are very important to us. As they say, they have become our best friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Samriddhi. I now call upon members of the audience to come and express their views on the topic.